Hey there, boxing enthusiasts! Ever wondered what it takes to become a professional boxer? Or how a seasoned fighter can mentally destroy their opponent? Well, we're about to dive into a unique boxing match that will answer these questions and more. Buckle up, folks, because we're about to witness an incredible display of boxing skills. Let's start with our first dish, a fight between Salt Papi and Halal Ham. Papi, a seasoned boxer, begins the fight with a jab to the body, a common tactic to set up a straight punch. But Halal, a beginner, decides to start aggressively. Papi, however, shows his experience by not breaking under the pressure. Here, the fight begins with Salt Papi using a jab to the body, a common technique in boxing to set up a straight punch. This is a basic boxing punch that can be used to measure the opponent's reaction and distance. Halal, the opponent, decides to start aggressively, which is not the usual approach for beginners. Papi, however, demonstrates his experience by not breaking under the pressure, showing that he is a seasoned boxer. Papi's first strike was a jab to the body, a setup for a left straight. Halal, however, decides to brawl, which allows Papi to counterattack. This was the first stage of cooking. In this part, Papi uses a jab to the body as a setup for a left straight. A left straight is a powerful punch that can be used to knock out an opponent. Halal decides to brawl, which allows Papi to counterattack. This is the first stage of the fight, where the fighters are getting to know each other and trying to find their opponent's weaknesses. In the second stage, Papi realizes that setting up punches is unnecessary. He leans his body forward, provoking a tilt in front, and strikes. This was the second stage of cooking. In the second stage, Papi realizes that setting up punches is unnecessary. He leans his body forward, provoking a tilt in front, and strikes. This is a technique known as feinting, where a boxer creates a false attack to distract the opponent and open up an opportunity for a real attack. This is the second stage of the fight, where the fighters are trying to control the pace and strategy of the fight. In the third stage, Papi mentally destroys the opponent. He makes feints not only with the front hand but also with the rear hand. A feint for the straight after a power jab. Now every Papi action is dangerous for Halal. In the third stage, Papi mentally destroys the opponent. He makes feints not only with the front hand but also with the rear hand. A feint for the straight after a power jab. Now, every Papi action is dangerous for Halal. This is the third stage of the fight, where the fighters are trying to mentally and physically exhaust the opponent to gain an advantage. The second round begins with the classic Salt Papi setup, a feint hook with the front hand followed by a powerful left straight. This combination will bring success for Papi in future fights and will become his calling card. The second round begins with the classic Salt Papi setup, a feint hook with the front hand followed by a powerful left straight. This is a combination punch that is difficult for the opponent to defend against. This combination will bring success for Papi in future fights and will become his calling card, a signature move that he uses to gain an advantage in fights. Now, let's move on to our second dish. This fight is a light snack rather than a full meal. Salt Papi throws out a couple of feints by tilting the body to check what the opponent will do. Papi decides to finish off the victim a couple of feints with the front hand, so that the opponent moves his hands to the nose. And now the wafer hooks is open, which Salt Papi uses and throws a crushing combination. In this part, Salt Papi begins the fight by throwing a few feints. These feints are intended to mislead the opponent and check their reactions. Papi then decides to finish off the opponent by throwing a couple of feints with his front hand. This causes the opponent to move their hands to their nose, opening up the wafer hooks. Papi then uses this opportunity to throw a crushing combination of punches, which is a powerful and effective attack. It was a Mike Tyson-style knockout, quick, technical, and confident. Absolutely everything in this performance speaks of Papi's incredibly high level of boxing.
Salt Papi has some of the best arms.
The very fact that despite the safety of the opponent he didn't hurry, but prepared an attack, tells us about his championship mindset. Confident, but not overconfident. This part describes the style of the fight. It was a quick and technical knockout, similar to the style of Mike Tyson, a legendary boxer known for his speed, power, and aggressiveness. Despite the safety of the opponent, Papi didn't rush, but prepared an attack. This shows his championship mindset, which is to be confident but not overconfident. He is confident in his abilities and prepares for the attack, but he doesn't let his confidence get the better of him. This shows that he is a professional boxer with a high level of skill and experience. Our third dish continues the theme of confidence. One fighter is confident in his skills and is preparing for his victory, and the second is frightened by the skills of the first, because of which, instead of concentrating on winning, he thinks only about how to perform actions correctly. And technically, Josh Bruckner was frightened not only by Salt Papi's skills, but also by the fact that Papi is left-handed. One of the main keys to defeating southpaws is footwork. You need to win the battle of the front leg and constantly step behind the leg of the opponent to have a more advantageous angle of attack. Josh was thinking only about Salt Papi's feet. Quentin Tarantino would respect this type of thinking, but due to constant thoughts about Salt Papi's foot, Bruckner's attacks were predictable, and his punches were without a swing, rather arm punches from the very first second. Salt Papi measures the distance to set the rhythm, and he not only sets the rhythm, but also breaks it so that Josh is as uncomfortable as possible after manipulating his front hand. Salt Papi hopes to catch his opponent on a powerful left straight. In the first stage of cooking, Josh himself was getting cooked without realizing it. Once upon a time in UFC, Darren Till, before he was beat up by everyone, very qualitatively set the rhythm with the front hand, so he dictated the fight and easily caught opponents with his counter left straight. Papi is trying to remove the jab with a right hook. It doesn't do much damage, but he needs Bruckner to doubt all his attacks now. The feint on left hook will be even more intimidating, which will open the door for the left straight. In the second stage of cooking salting, now the fight becomes very similar to the fight with Ham. The opponent has already gone through 2 stages of cooking. He found himself in a world of feints, moral destruction, and whipping attacks. Josh is already beginning to suspect that he has been fully cooked, and Salt Papi is beginning to eat him. In the second round, Josh comes out even more terrified than the first. He continues to beat up the air with his obvious combinations. His reluctance to reduce the distance during attacks plays into Papi's hands because he now reduces it himself when he wants to attack. Here, Papi uses his favorite reversing tactic. The whole fight, he threw feints with a right hook, after which he threw a left straight, and now, having intimidated enough with the left straight, he uses it as a feint and then applies the right hook. Inside 2 rounds, he was cooked and eaten. What's most interesting is the knockout repeats Manny Pacquiao's knockout frame by frame. Salt Papi is really as good as they say he is. He has all the qualities to become the king of YouTube boxing, but even fighters like Papi have gaps in technique. And that's a wrap on our incredible boxing match. We hope you enjoyed this journey through the ring as much as we did. Stay tuned for more exciting boxing matches, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for the latest news in the best quality. Until next time, keep the gloves up and stay updated.